Okay, so what's in a name? Well, when it comes to Southern Africa, the answer is a whole lot of mystery, culture, and history. From ancient kingdoms to breathtaking landscapes, how these countries got their names will blow your mind. While some countries get their names from ancient ruins, some are named after deserts. While some are named after tribes and kings, some are named after lakes and rivers. And there are some that are just funny how they got their names. Whatever the case, let's dive in and start with not South Africa, the elephant in the room, but with Mauritius, the island at the side.
Mauritius. If a country can be guilty of having too many names, it is Mauritius. She's had so many names in her history. First, the Arabs called her Dina Arobi, then the Portuguese called her Mascarenes. Later, the Dutch named her Mauritius after Prince Maurice of Nassau, and much later the French named her Isle de France. When the British fought and took the island from France, they would again revert to Mauritius as her name, a name she still bears today. Lesotho. Firstly, Lesotho is the only country in Africa and in fact, the whole world to be entirely above 1,000 meters in elevation. Two-thirds of this country is mountains, which is why she's also known as Africa's kingdom in the sky. Secondly, she's Africa's most homogeneous country, being 98% Basotho. And thirdly, she's the only African country to be completely encircled by another, which in this case is South Africa. So how did Lesotho, formerly called Basuto land, get her name? The answer is actually simple. Remember, she is 98% Basotho, and Basotho people speak Sotho, which is also called Sesotho. It is this language that birthed Lesotho, which means the land of the Sesotho or Sotho people. South Africa, the elephant in the room. This country needs no introduction. Everybody knows her. Home to Asians, Europeans, and Africans, she's also known as the Rainbow Nation, being the most racially diverse country in the continent. Apart from the infamous apartheid regime that she thankfully surmounted, South Africa is a unique country in many ways. But before she became one country known as South Africa, she was four independent British colonies of the Cape of Good Hope, Natal, Transvaal, and Orange Free State. It was in 1910 that these four colonies united into one country called South Africa, a name simply derived from her location as the southernmost country in the continent. Malawi. This southern African country, formerly called Nyasaland, is named after Lake Malawi, which is a big deal in Malawi because it is one-fifth of the country and her greatest attraction. But Malawi has not always been known by this name. She was formerly called Nyasaland, having been named after Lake Nyasa, which was the former name of Lake Malawi. So when the lake was known as Nyasa, she was Nyasaland. And when the name of the lake changed to Malawi, she became Malawi. Meanwhile, the word Nyasa actually means lake. So Lake Nyasa technically means lake. But how did Nyasa transform to Malawi, her current name? Well, her current name is from her founding president, who preferred the more resounding name Malawi, which actually means flaming water or tongues of fire, derived from the sun's dazzling reflection on the lake, to the simple name Nyasa, which simply means lake. Botswana. Botswana was formerly called Bechuanaland, and her name, Botswana, just like Lesotho that we talked about earlier, was derived from her indigenous people, the Tswanas. Botswana means the land of Tswana people. Mozambique. She was formerly Portuguese Guinea and later Portuguese East Africa. Her current name is from the island of Mozambique, which in turn was the Portuguese mispronunciation of the name of the Arab Sultan who ruled the island at the time. When the Portuguese explorers arrived on this island, they met the ruler of the island, an Arab Sultan named Musa bin Bik, which the Portuguese mispronounced as Masambik, and later Masambik became Mozambique. Angola. At the opposite end of Mozambique is this country, the other Portuguese colonized country in this region. So how did Angola get her name? Well, like many Southern African countries, her indigenous people will be the source. Angola is actually a corruption of the word Ngola, which means king in Kubundu. The kings of Ndongo were called Ngola, which was short for Ndambi a Ngola, which the Portuguese called Dambi Angola, and that was how Angola became Angola. Zambia. Zambia is synonymous with the Zambezi. Have you ever heard of the Zambezi River? Well, it is Africa's fourth longest river and flows through 6 African countries on its journey to the Indian Ocean, making it the largest African river that flows into this ocean. River Zambezi also flows over the Victoria Falls, the largest waterfall in Africa, which along with the Zambezi determines the borders between Zambia and her sister neighbor, Zimbabwe. Now, the Zambezi River originates from this country and runs right through her, making it such a big deal in Zambia that this Southern African country, formerly called Northern Rhodesia, was named after it. Zambia simply means the area around the Zambezi or Zambezi area. Zimbabwe. The northern border of Zimbabwe and Zambia is determined by the river Zambezi. But though the Zambezi completely borders the northern part of this country, Zimbabwe, formerly called Southern Rhodesia, preferred not to be named after this river. She chose instead to be named after a historical heritage of theirs, the Great Zimbabwe, an ancient empire in the southeast of the country, which is one of East Africa's great empires, which we'll profile in later episodes. The word Zimbabwe means stone houses, which can still be seen in the ruins of this ancient civilization. Namibia. Formerly known as German Southwest Africa, this southern African country is home to the world's highest dunes. She's completely bordered on the west along the Atlantic Ocean by a desert called Namib. Namib Desert is reputed to be the world's oldest desert. Now, Namibia is simply named after this Namib, which in the local Nama language means vast place or area where there is nothing. Eswatini. This small landlocked country is an absolute monarchy ruled by King Mswati III. Before 2018, she was known as Swaziland, which means the land of the Swazis. But in 2018, the king decided that Swaziland had long been confused with Switzerland and changed her name from Swaziland, which means the land of the Swazis, to Eswatini, which still means the land of the Swazis in the local Swazi language. Madagascar. Formerly known as the Malagasy Republic, Madagascar got her current name from either a corruption of the Malagasy name Madagascar or from a mistaken Italian transliteration of Mogadishu. Proponents of this latter theory have it that when Marco Polo arrived on this island, he mistook it for Mogadishu and transmitted this mistaken fact to his secretary, who also mistakenly typed Madagascar instead of Mogadishu. And that was how this island became Madagascar, which later became Madagascar.
That's it.